Hey guys, I'm Jaydeep here. Today I'll be talking about how the graph is between the marks versus efforts. Okay, so see, what we generally experience is that the growth from initial, say here you are scoring somewhere around 20s, which I used to score when I had given my first one or two tests, to the point where you can see like here you are scoring somewhere around 60. So what happens is that the amount of efforts you required in order to get from jump of 20 to 60 is very uh, less as compared to the amount of efforts you required from getting 60 to 85. It's because here you were jumping around 14 marks of difference. Here you will be jumping just say 25 marks, right? But what happens is that whenever you think that you are putting too much efforts but you are not seeing the output, so what might be the general case is that whenever we have put this many amount of efforts, we see that okay, I got jumped to the 60 very really fast. But what happens later is that whenever we start putting even very tremendous amount of efforts, what we see is that we are crossing our limits but marks are not up to the point. Like we might be getting somewhere around 73 72 such kind of marks, but what we experience is that the growth is not that much. Okay, and now whatever marks I am talking about here, these are the average marks, like average of your last 5 tests, right? So don't see that it as an highest marks you have scored till now. Okay, it might be more than 85. I have seen students more than 90 marks also, and I also used to score those, but my average was used to be somewhere around 87 85, right? And uh, what I feel is that the amount of efforts you require to make the further jumps are very very more. Okay, so it might be happening with you is that it might not be 85 for you, it might be it might be 75 or 79 maybe for you, right? It's fine, it varies from person to person. But what I want to say is that even though it might happen is that you are putting an extreme amount of efforts but you are not seeing it in front of the test, that's totally fine. Okay, so don't get disheartened by okay, I'm putting this many amount of efforts but I don't see any reflection in marks, that's fine. But what good thing happens over here when you put these much amounts of efforts is that your connection in the brains gets stronger. Okay, now what better things you can experience is that you might take less time to understand whether the question can be doable or not. Okay, this is one of a good thing because you need to understand whether you can do particular question or not, or rather it shouldn't happen is that you devoted it 10 to 12 minutes and still you are not able to arrive at the solution. So at that time we get confused, like to continue this question or leave this question and move ahead. Okay, so that shouldn't be the case with us. Okay, so when you put these amount of efforts, you gain that foresight that whether the question is doable or not. Second thing is that you can quickly solve the questions. Okay, because there are few types of questions which are 100% going to be repeated, like the in dynamic programming, applied dynamic programming on the matrix multiplication or the applied Dijkstra's algorithm. These are the type of questions which you will be become very fluent in solving, and less chance that you need to think more on them in the exam. Okay, that's really good thing happens when you put these many amount of efforts, right? Also, one good thing is that you don't make silly mistakes, right? Silly mistakes you can avoid now because you are so trained that it you know where you can go wrong and you become alert while solving that part of the question, right? So what I mean to say from the video is that it's fine even if you're putting tremendous amount of efforts but you are not seeing that much of your growth, right? So that's totally fine. But what is important is that whenever you start putting these many efforts now, these changes will occur. Okay, these may not be very uh, means this may not be likely to see within few days. Okay, it might take several weeks or months in order you to realize by yourself that you are now becoming very good at these things. You are taking less time to understand whether the question is doable or not, and you are very fluent to the questions which you have seen before. Okay, so it takes time, but it only happens because you are putting the efforts, right? So please don't get disheartened by, okay, I am scoring less marks, so why should I study now, it's enough. Okay, so don't think like that. Okay, what matters is that how many efforts you are putting and how well you are uh, gathering yourself whenever you face the difficulties, right? And how you tackle the difficult question, how you recognize them, whether it's doable or not, right? So yeah, these are the some of the things which you will get understood only when you put the maximum amount of efforts, right? In GATE 2021 there was some correlation question in my paper. I know that no matter what happens, this thing is not my cup of tea as of now, because I didn't know anything about the correlation and stuffs. So just it took me 1 or 2 seconds and I decided, okay, this question I am not gonna attempt, and I attempted the rest. So I attempted 64 out of the 65 questions, and that was a correct decision, because uh, this might be the question which where I would have devoted much of a time, and I would have got disappointed if I were not able in I were not confident in my answer, right? So it's fine, but how did it came from? How I decided that it's not my cup of tea? Because I had done enough practice and I knew that what I do well and what I don't, right? So just keep this thing in mind. Okay, I know the time is very tough during these stages of preparation, but please gather yourself and keep putting your maximum efforts. Okay, that's the only thing which matters at the end, right? So even if we lose, we should lose with no regrets, right? So give your best and understand that efforts matters the most in these three things which directly affects your marks, right? So I hope you will keep this thing in mind. Thank you for listening to me, guys. It would be very nice if you subscribe and turn off that notification thing so you don't get distracted, right? Take care of yourself and take care of your time.